Today we're going to make a cake with a very interesting title. It's called Cemetery Cake, and it's not Halloween-y, but it may look a little bit like a tombstone, I don't know. I found this recipe on Pinterest, and it was written for the Milwaukee Sentinel in 1981. I recognized the ingredients because this is a cake that has vinegar in it. And what chocolate cake has vinegar in it? Wacky Cake. It can also be called Crazy Cake or World War II Cake because it doesn't have eggs or butter in it because of the rationing done at that time. Maybe they call it Cemetery Cake because it's a great cake to take to funerals.
If you're older, you probably already know what this cake is, and you're thinking, big deal, who cares about this?
But since this cake has a lot of different names, I don't see why I can't just name it myself. So I'm going to title this cake Gone But Not Forgotten. I imagine 100 years ago that somebody sat there and chiseled that into that stone. But as time passes, they are forgotten. So unless details are written down, we become just another name in history. And it's sad because there's only the writing left on the stone. And even that can fade. So our bodies are just temporary. Wow, what a depressing video about a cake. Where's the hope? So it's the gone and not forgotten cemetery and possibly funeral World War II crazy wacky cake. But hey, on the cheerful side, there are some clever people who write recipes on their tombstones. I almost made this one, but I don't have a marble slab. And I think this is legitimate, right? Kay must have been famous for her fudge. And this mom must have made some really awesome Christmas cookies. I'm going to request to my family to put a recipe for Christmas crack on my tombstone so that when I'm resurrected, I can just crack it open. I actually did some footage of me walking through the graveyard, but it mysteriously disappeared off my phone. Seriously, I can't find the footage. But this is a good one. Whoever made this tombstone really loved their daddy. And I really like the quote at the bottom. Okay, enough about tombstones. Let's get started. In a bowl, add 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of sugar. This is 6 tablespoons of cocoa. 4, 5, 6. 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt. I probably should have used a bigger bowl, but this reminds me of something called Wacky Cake that has vinegar in it, and my mom used to make this when I was younger. This is 2/3 cup of vegetable oil and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. 2 tablespoons of vinegar and 2 cups of water. Alright, we're going to stir this up until it's nice and smooth. Let's use a blender to make sure it's blended up really good. It says to pour into an ungreased baking pan. It's a 9 by 13 pan. We're going to cook it for 30 minutes in a 350-degree oven. The recipe does not have frosting for it, but if you want to, you can make your own chocolate frosting and it will go great on top. I'm using 2 cups of powdered sugar and 3 tablespoons of cocoa, and then you can add a teaspoon of vanilla and melt a half a stick of butter and mix that in there. And then add 3 to 4 tablespoons of milk. Stir that up to see if it is thick or thin enough. If you need to add more milk, you can add another teaspoon or so until it's nice and smooth. Don't make it too thin because it's going to melt a little on the cake. Make sure your cake is done and then let it cool just a little bit, and then you can pour the frosting on the cake and it will lightly melt on top. because when the frosting is just slightly melted, it makes it more fudgy, I think. And this sort of reminds me of Texas sheet cake, if you've ever tried that. But the flavor of the Wacky Cake is just a little bit different. I don't know, it has had difference, but not bad difference, but it's different. Well, now that I made that perfectly clear, this is a good cake. It's very moist, and you don't even really notice that the eggs are missing. It does have oil. And you know, you can add nuts if you wanted. It tastes delicious. Thanks for watching.